Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure. Come on in.
They have cold beer and action on the game.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
It's time for the Degenerates Next Door.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Some people have Christmas. Fat people have Wisconsin. And all of us gambling degenerates have March Madness. My name is Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall, right across from me. We are the Degenerates Next Door. And Rob, there are certain dates on the gambling calendar you look forward to. Super Bowl Sunday, Kentucky Derby Day. But what's great about the NCAA Tournament, it's multiple days. It's not just one day. No. You get a couple days. This is why so many dudes get their vasectomies this time of year, so they can sit on the couch, ice that beanbag, watch all the games, gamble on the games. I know this because I'm one of those dudes.
Okay, so two things. One, yes, they literally run local radio ads saying, come get your wee-wee snipped.
The old snipperoonie.
Okay, I have a question about the vasectomy.
Yes.
Because you have multiple children. Did you feel after you got the vasectomy like there was a part of you that was like not fully intact anymore? Since, I mean, while your thing still works, right? You can't have the children.
Oh, no, it means I'm going bareback for the rest of my life.
Oh, well, okay, that's a very direct response. I'm just saying, but you can't, I mean, the thing works, but you can't.
Everything works just fine.
Produce the children anymore. So I was just wondering if part of you seem a little
It's kind of like the best case scenario. So let me ask you, if given the opportunity to have a situation where you would never have to wear protection again, or you always have to wear it and hope it works, if you're done with kids, and we were done with kids.
Well, that's true.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Right? So let's go, man. Raw dogging it for the rest of my life. It's the best thing that happened, man. Best thing that happened. All right. So
what a great way to start the show.
Oh, truly. And this is what makes this show work. So throughout the next hour-ish, okay, I don't know how long it's going to be, maybe an hour, maybe a little less.
Going to be here a whole hour?
Shut up. We're going to do a couple different things. We're going to try to help you, one, win your office pool, your bracket contest, because that's still a thing, right? Everybody's got the office pools. You're filling them out online, whether it's ESPN, whether it's in your office. Just pick the winners. We can do that. But we can also make some money individually on these games with point spreads, with totals, because these are two totally different things we're talking about.
Yes, I am. You could stink at one and be great at the brackets. Like, I mean, I feel like every year I stink at my bracket because there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. But if I listen to the right people, I might be able to make some money betting on the spreads.
So we will do a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B in this program. We will have both of our professional handicappers join us. Because, again, Rob and I, not professional handicappers. But we study, we do our homework, we ignore our families to pass on all of this knowledge to you.
May I just tell you something I did, and you can tell me if this is hilarious, or you can also point at me and do the Nelson Muntz laugh?
Sure.
So I got a bunch of risk-free bets. Okay, so what happened was on my sports betting app, they had a deal where if you make a certain bet in the Super Bowl, it was anytime touchdown score. And we were in on Jalen Hurts, right?
Correct.
And if you do an anytime touchdown scorer bet, and that person is the first touchdown scorer, not only do you get your bet paid out, but we also give you free bonus bets.
Okay, solid.
So we won, right?
First touchdown was Jalen Hurts.
And you have a certain period to use your risk-free bets, your bonus bets. Well, I used some of them. I got my Masters bets in, started to do some long-term bets. We talked about to bet the Mets. So when I hear Phil Sanchez, local news guy, homer for the Mets on Twitter all year, I've got some sort of vested interest to make. Did a bunch of bets. Still had a few left to use. There was an issue, like a nationwide issue, logging into the account for everybody, many people, right before I was about to make my final bets. I couldn't use my bonus bets. And they were going back and forth, you're messaging tech support. They're like, unfortunately, you had to use them by a certain day. I know! That's why I'm messaging you! And then initially said they weren't going to give them to me. Then they gave me the bonus bets back, but then they gave me additional bonus bets.
Oh, wow, because you bitched and complained at their incompetence. You got more free bets.
So, but then there was a time limit on that, and I had a bunch of stuff going on this weekend, and I was like, oh, crap, I got to use all these bets. So I bet on several teams to win the national championship. Just a few bucks here, a few bucks there. Give me a bunch of dudes to root for.
A national title future. You sprinkled a couple different.
And I was in a hurry yesterday. I had a million things. We had that big property tax rally at the State House for the radio show, and then we had I had to be a dad. I had to be a dad, and then so
get a vasectomy, and that's not a problem anymore, Rob.
Trying to. I still have more to offer society, Hammer.
I'm not dead, and you ain't that much younger than I am anyway.
Okay, so anyway, point is I'm hurrying my bets, and then I realized after I'd made all my bonus bets for the national champions, I bet on a team that I'd already bet on before. So now I have two bets on the same team because I was hurrying.
So I just opened up the show saying we do the homework, we pass all the knowledge on to you, and you completely flushed that down the toilet by saying I didn't pay attention to what I was doing.
No, I paid it. This is who I want to win it, but I didn't realize I'd already made the bet on
right,
this
you didn't
team.
pay attention that you'd already made the bet.
Well, I wish they wouldn't put a time limit on these risk-free bets. I would have taken more time because I really think this team's going to win.
Well, it was a great 10 minutes we're never going to get back, Scott Long. Thank you very much for that. So let me ask you this, Rob, as we actually get into talking about what we're supposed to here. SEC or the field? This is one of the bets you can make on a couple different of the sports betting apps. Champion of the whole thing, cutting down the nets, an SEC school, and there's a bunch of them, and they're real good, or the field. Who you got?
What's the lowest SEC team? Is it like an 11? Is there an 11 in there?
Mississippi State, probably them.
Okay, so you can't,
Vanderbilt's a 10.
You can't say it's the field because basically there's like, the top, the bottom ones are not SEC teams. So
they're SEC teams. They are just probably not going to win the national championship.
No, but I'm saying like the bottom 20 teams or whatever are not SEC teams. So just take those. They're not winning the national championship.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right,
yes,
right.
the small conference winners.
Let's face it. You're not having anything other than maybe you might somehow a 10.
The Mountain West winners not cutting down the nets.
So it's basically, let's say there's 40 schools who have a any snowball's chance of winning the national championship. Can we agree with that?
Yes, snowball's chance in hell. Some more snowy than others, but around that.
Yeah,
yes.
So what? And then what are the 13 SEC teams that got in? So is it 13 SEC teams versus 27 other teams?
Right.
So when you think about that, what were the odds? Do you know what they were?
It was pretty close to being even, actually, because the betting favorites to win this thing, Florida is clearly number 1.
Yeah.
But Duke is right there at 2, and then here comes Auburn at 3.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So you've got, realistically, who would have a shot outside of you? You got Duke, they got a chance. You got Arizona, St. John's, who would definitely have a chance.
Houston is a number 1 seed.
Houston, I'll get to them in a second, yes.
Sparty, Michigan State. Michigan is a tricky 5.
Do we think like Michigan State? I mean, what the big dogs, right? It's Houston, Duke, St. John's. I don't know.
And you're talking about some known coaches too.
Yeah.
Because like during football season, I would always say, if you're on the fence about a bet and all things are equal, if the better quarterback is getting points, that's where you want to go. With March Madness, to me, if I'm looking at this, if things are equal in this tournament, the better coach is where I want to go.
Yeah, I got 2 non-SEC teams in my bracket final, so I'm going to have to go with, I'll take the field.
Okay, so you have the field. I'm going to go SEC. SEC gives you, as much as I hate to say this, Florida and Bama, because I'm a Tennessee guy, and those two guys are really good.
Yep.
Auburn, despite struggling down the stretch, I love me some Bruce Pearl. Tennessee is really good. So there's 4 right there. Like, if you took those 4 and said, all right, we will play the top 4 of any other conference, I'll take the SEC.
Yeah, I need to do my bracket over now. You've already
Couple things of note here before we get into Rob's bracket. If you're a chalk person, like on ESPN, as soon as they rolled out the brackets, they showed like Jay Williams' bracket. It was all number 1 seeds, all 1s and 2s in the final.
Boring.
2008 was the only time all 4 of the number 1 seeds made the Final Four. That's it, the only time. Let's talk about bankroll here. Flat betting, which means betting the same amount on every single game. According to the research done out at UNLV, and I feel like they would probably know more than anybody about this kind of stuff, flat betting is the better strategy. Gives you 65% more success rate than, say, I'm going to go big on the Duke game and maybe a little less on the Arizona game. Betting flat every single game.
Every game's the same bet.
Correct.
Okay.
Double-digit underdogs in the round of 64. Even Steven when it comes to the spread. Okay? Double-digit dogs cover 51% of the time. Do with that information as you wish. 51's not a number where I feel really comfortable just taking a bunch of double-digit dogs.
Yeah.
And especially now with this NIL era, because it feels like the last couple of years, the haves and the have-nots, the people with money who spend it wisely, unlike teams in Bloomington, and teams that don't have the money, there's a huge gap in talent now.
No kidding.
So the other trend, and we'll ask this to our handicappers coming up in just a little bit. First half unders. 2 years ago, I made so much damn money on first half unders, I was above the law, Rob.
You did, and I'm glad we're not doing this year. I had to watch you win in person, and on the opening day, we went to a local casino together.
Yes, we did.
Man, it was, just watching you win, it just made me ill.
And that brings joy to my cold, dark heart. But it seems like the odds makers are starting to catch on. So, first half unders, 117, 95, and 3 since 2017. That's a success rate of 55%. Now, last year was a down year, 15 and 21. But the year before, it was unbelievable. It was an ATM cash cow with first half unders. But odds makers have caught on, and I think I'm off of the first half unders train.
Good move.
It's like dating that crazy, sexy chick, right? You're going to have some amazing sex. It's going to be awesome. But there's a point where you realize I don't want to be in this relationship anymore.
Also, don't you hate cheering against points?
I do. I love money. Don't get me wrong. I feel like Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob. I like money. But you're right. I hate rooting for turnovers and things like that.
Yeah, and it got to me this year in the NFL season. Where it's like, I want to go under, but I can't pick this game because I hate being miserable watching a football game.
Now, if it's somebody that you don't care about, then I don't know. Maybe I'll root for the turnover. I'll root for the money. But if I want to enjoy my March Madness, if I want to have the wings and the beer and the pizza, I'm not rooting for missed free throws. I'm just not.
Yeah, it's bad.
It sucks.
And then you run into a thing like the other day. Who was it that played? St. John's, where the over-under was like 140, and they were super close with 2 minutes to go, and the game was still somewhat close. Well, then it just turns into Hackapalooza, and you're if you had the under, I did not, but you're screaming at your television that they're ruining your life because they can't win this game anyway. The team playing St. John's had no chance. Stop fouling these people.
Now, if you had some sort of statistical data that said, hey, you might not like this, but ride the lightning, okay, we'll do that. But last year, water found its level with these first half unders. Odds makers, I think they've caught on. And you'll get some of the early games this year. You've got Purdue and High Point. I think they play the second game, like at 1 o'clock tip-off. This isn't the Purdue team of old. They want to run. They want to shoot. They want to score. High Point has no interest in playing defense. I don't feel comfortable doing a first half under because the theory with first half unders was always, all right, it's an early start. It's a strange court. These are teams that don't know each other. Nerves come into play. It's the NCAA tournament. So the first half, it takes a little while to figure each other out. That's where the whole first half unders thing came from. And for a 2 to 3 year window, it was beautiful. But odds makers have caught on. Now, we will get to Rob's bracket. We will get to my bracket. Our professional handicappers, Final Four national champions, and individual point spread and total picks. That is coming up in just a moment. But first, Rob, I don't want to wait until Thursday. I want action tonight.
I want action tonight. Satisfaction all night.
So a team that a lot of people thought probably shouldn't even be in the damn thing. North Carolina, part of the first four. Let's call it what it is, the play-in round, right? It's the play-in round. And North Carolina taking on San Diego State. Carolina, 4.5-point favorite in this game. Woo! The over-under sitting right around 142.5. So, just based off memory, my years of watching March Madness, all this kind of stuff, it feels like the team that everybody says should not be there usually plays with a little chip on their shoulder and wins a game or two, or at least competes. So I'm looking at North Carolina tonight. I think Carolina plays with a little bit of an edge. I think they're going to have more fans there. I can't see San Diego flying their fan base across country to Dayton for a couple nights. Even if it's just a little bit, Carolina's going to have a number of different edges tonight. And Carolina scores, if they can come close to what they do on the season average, because they normally average around 80 points. If they come close to that, because I know San Diego plays good defense, but let's say Carolina scores 73, 74. I don't know if San Diego has the offensive firepower to come back. I don't. It's just one of those games where everybody knows Carolina should not be in there. West Virginia had a better resume, despite being one of the most unlikable teams in America. Indiana had a better resume than North Carolina. They shouldn't be there, but I'm taking them tonight, Rob. Wow. I think they circle the wagons. I think they cover the 4.5 against San Diego.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Go yourself, San Diego.
So I'm on the Tar Heels tonight.
You know, remember last year, was it Virginia that everybody was like, shouldn't be in, and then they got in and they scored 8 points? Remember that? Remember that?
We had a first half under on that. I believe we did. I think we had a first half under. So the magic about the play-in round, right? It's not the tournament. I know people call this stuff in Dayton the tournament. To me, the real tournament starts on Thursday.
That's right.
This is the play-in stuff.
That's correct.
But with that being said, not only do you get some decent matchups, you get pretty good teams who also fall into the category of a degenerate special, Rob.
It's time for Hammer's Degenerate Special.
The other one tonight, St. Francis, Pennsylvania, taking on Alabama State. Alabama Slammer.
Who?
Alabama State, 4-point favorite in Dayton against St. Francis of Pennsylvania. Over under 139.5. All right, so let's look at that total there, 139.5. Both of these teams' combined scoring average throughout the season for their games, 144.5. Now, I'm no math major, but 144.5 higher than 139.5, which is the total of this game. These two teams' defensive average, what they do defensively, what they hold opponents to, added up, 143.8. Now, again, I'm no Elon Musk. I'm not trying to figure out how to bring astronauts back from the space station.
That's right.
But that also seems like it's a little bit higher than 139.5. So we're going to go over this one, Rob. Over Alabama State, St. Francis, Pennsylvania, 139.5. We are going to ride the lightning. Let's do some Final Four picks. Give me your Final Four.
You want to smell the stench of failure? Every year in my bracket. Every year, Hammer, I think to myself, this is the year.
This is it.
This is the year, and every year it's not. I've never won a bracket. Isn't that
Ever?
amazing? No. Junior high, never.
Okay.
Never.
Well, this is the year. You're due.
That's right.
You're due. So first of all, before we get to Final Four, any of these games stick out in the first round? Do you have upset for, like any of these major matchups?
Well, people are all – now, look, what was the spread on High Point, Purdue?
So that game, that's what I've got circled on my radar, and I'm going to get to that a little bit later on. It's down to 7.5.
Purdue's not that bad. I mean, I know they've struggled. Who the hell is High Point?
High Point is the team that likes to get up and down and can shoot a three.
Okay, but if they're not doing that, how do they win?
I think this is more of a fade on Purdue because Purdue doesn't have a 7-foot giant in the middle this year.
But they have some dudes, right? They still have some guys who can play. They still are a top. What are they? They're 4, right? I mean, they're still one of the, by the tournament standards, one of the 16 best teams in the country. Matt Painter's their coach. Look, I want Purdue to lose as a guy with an IU diploma. I want them to lose. But who's High Point?
So you're not with the consensus that High Point is the sexy upset pick. No. Do you have a sexy upset pick?
I'm not sure there are upsets anymore. I think most of these teams are so close, Hammer. I think there's less.
I mean, I think you could call it an upset if the winner of St. Francis, Pennsylvania, and Alabama State knocks off Auburn in the first round.
But that's not happening. I don't think the way it used to be. I don't think there's that much daylight in the NIL, in the transfer portal world. I just don't think there's that much daylight between. Like, would it shock me if Oregon, who barely beat IU at home, would it shock me if Liberty at 28-6 beat them? No.
I've got a play on that coming up a little bit later on as well.
I'm picking all of your okay, let's see. What is the biggest seed-wise upset that I have? I have Arkansas as a 10 beating Kansas. I've got Drake as an 11.
I kind of like that 11 seed. Whoever wins between Texas and Xavier on Wednesday, they go on to play Illinois. And Illinois struggled a little bit down the stretch there. I'm not mad at that 11 seed of Texas and Xavier getting out to round 2.
Remember in football, I bet on a team that I thought Steve Alford was the coach of their basketball team, and he wasn't. I know he's at New Mexico. I got New Mexico because I love Steve Alford.
Steve Alford's at Nevada.
I did it again! Gosh, dang it. That's the thing I did during football season, wasn't it? Gosh, darn it.
Let's just go to your Final Four, Rob.
I feel good about this Final Four this year.
Who do we got?
Iowa State, St. John's, Duke, and Houston. I got Houston winning it all because Houston is the team that I accidentally bet on twice.
Houston, old cheating-ass Kelvin Sampson.
Here's the thing. You can't go against a guy who has found out a way to legally cheat.
Okay.
And all the and he was ahead of the curve, right?
He was. And
the things he's doing now, I mean, he was a groundbreaker. He was a pioneer. He was a trailblazer. He was a founding father. He was the guy that's doing all the things that today are legal. Back then it was cheating. He was willing to ride the rail. Look, Hammer.
Not concerned about the Iowa State injuries?
No,
because they're banged up. They're missing 2 dudes.
Yeah, I know, Hammer, but look, I'm going to lose anyway. I might as well go out in a like Animal House, right? They're going to screw me anyway. I might as well go out in a blaze of glory.
When you have a team like Iowa State, let's say you have them out to the Final Four, you do give yourself a puncher's chance, assuming they can survive the first couple of rounds, right? Because all the people in your bracket, all the people in your office pool, they're going to be taking Auburn. They're going to be taking Florida. They're going to be taking Duke, right? Those are the main picks. But if one of them bites the dust and you've got somebody random, that's how you give yourself a puncher's chance.
Well, look, Iowa State plays Lipscomb in round 1. Who's Lipscomb? Is it Lip Balm?
I've got a play on that game coming up later on.
God, dang it.
All right, here's my Final Four. By the way, who do you have winning it all?
Houston. I actually bet on them twice.
Okay.
Here's what we should do. We should come up with some sort of point system for this because, look, you're the basketball guy, right? Like, I watch some basketball. I watch a lot of IU basketball. I'm pretty okay at betting IU basketball. But you and I should have a competition, a point-scoring system here, and we should bet something on this and see if Rob Kendall and his horrible bracket can beat Mr. Basketball.
Okay. So, I'm looking at my Final Four. I have Florida, unfortunately. I have Alabama.
Boy, you must have been just
unfortunately.
Oh.
I've got Michigan, though. I've got Michigan knocking out Auburn in the tournament.
Woo!
Michigan's got 2 6'11" goons. They may have the most punchable faces of anybody in this tournament, but they got big dudes.
You got to root for those guys now. Think about the purgatory you just put yourself in.
I know. This is what money does to you. And listen, you're going to give me crap. I've got Tennessee making it out. Tennessee got a pretty good draw here. For Tennessee to make it to the Final Four, you're beating UCLA, Utah State's winner, maybe Kentucky, which they are very familiar with and have beat them before, and cheating-ass Kelvin Sampson. That's a pretty good draw because you're avoiding Florida, you're avoiding Bama, you're avoiding the big goons from Michigan, you're avoiding Duke. That's a pretty good pathway for Tennessee.
Boy, what a homer. What a homer.
Championship game.
So you got 3, is that right?
3 SECs and a Michigan. I've got a 5 seed, a 1, and 2 twos.
Okay.
And
what do I got? I got 3, a 2, a 1, and a 1. Boy, I'm not really that diverse.
And I'm looking at a championship game of Florida, Tennessee. I know Florida's the better team, but I refuse to pick them in a championship game against Tennessee. I'm going against my better judgment, Rick Barnes, who I know is going to take my heart out and stomp it right on the ground.
Here's the thing about all this, though. Like, look at all the losses these teams have. Auburn has 5. Florida has 4. Duke has 3. Houston has 4. Those are the top teams. Tennessee has 7. St. John's is pretty good. They have 4. What do we got? Alabama has 8. Michigan State has 6. So it's not like if your team got beat, you'd be like, what a shocker.
Right.
No, this is not UNLV 1990. This is not, pick your other Indiana 76. This is not your, all-time great teams. There are none of you and I you'd be like, Rob, you have no idea what's going on. I still think my bracket could beat yours, and you do know what's going on.
Okay, so let's just figure this out here. We'll have to come up with some sort of bet. Like, whose bracket will do better? Mine or Rob's, and there has to be some sort of punishment for the loser. No reward for the winner, but a punishment for the loser.
All right, we need a scoring system so that way you're never really out of it, right?
Traditional March Madness bracket scoring system. Round 1 worth 1. Round 2 worth 2. Round 3 worth 3. Then so on, so on.
All right, so I'll leave this bracket with you. You can come up with the bet. We'll post it online. It'll keep people going to the Degenerates Next Door podcast page.
Yes. Okay.
1 year I had to write a check to Bernie Sanders. Remember that?
I did.
And then 1 year you had
the subject line, the memo said socialist stuff.
And then you had to write a check to the mayor of Indianapolis, Joe Hogsett, and then you put drinks on me.
The drinks are on me. Again, the joke with that, for those listening outside of the Indianapolis area, the mayor of Indianapolis may or may not have a little bit of a drinking problem. Allegedly. May or may not have been in rehab when the riots were happening here in 2020. May or may not have been made fun of by Mike Epps, the comedian, because of it. I don't know. All right, let's take a little break here, and let's get one of our professional handicappers on. Let's get Kenny Britt in here of KB Sports. So he's going to give us some of his picks for the first round against the spread. He is also going to give us his final 4. And then we'll have another professional handicapper, David Stephanoff, on. And the final segment of this show, I've got first round bets against the spread. I'm going to lay my bets out there. We are cooking with fire, baby. It's the best time of year. This is the Degenerates Next Door. It is the March Madness special here on the Degenerates Next Door. I'm Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall right across from me. And let's go to the hotline right now and bring on one of our resident professional handicappers. He is the man behind KB Sports. KB is Kenny Britt. My friend, welcome to the madness. How are you?
Oh, this is the best time of the year, man.
I love it.
NFL playoffs and March Madness.
I love it. So, again, we've been talking about this throughout the show. There are 2 different objectives people are looking for here. Winning their bracket and winning individual bets. Point spread bets, totally different than a bracket pick. So let's start with the bracket people. Okay, let's go with the brackets here. Looking at your field, what sticks out to you?
I think the cream rises to the top this year. I think the top 8 teams, the 1 and the 2 seeds, are so much better than everybody else. You know, we're going to get our upsets in the first round. We always do. But I think once it gets down to it, I think the top 8 teams are miles better than everybody else.
Usually, like, we all love to pick those upsets in the first round, and even you might have that Cinderella go to the Sweet 16, but you're right. Usually, it's the heavyweights that battle for the championship. Although the numbers show that if you're banking on all number 1 seeds, that's not going to happen. There are upsets along the way. Very rarely do you see all of those number 1 seeds get to the final 8 let alone the Final Four. So which number one seed, Kenny, do you think is the most vulnerable?
The most vulnerable, that's actually a great question. Duke. You don't know you don't know about Cooper Flagg. You don't know if he's going to play or not. I mean, I think he will, but is it going to be 50%? Is it going to be 70%?
Right.
So I think Duke might be a little bit vulnerable. And, well, you know what? And I also think Houston's vulnerable. Some of that is I just can't stand Kelvin Sampson.
Right.
They play in the Big 12, which shouldn't scare anybody. And I'll just go ahead and one of my upsets I have Gonzaga beating them and going to the Sweet 16. So
okay. One of the prop bets, Kenny, that I see, one of the prop bets that I see on social media, and you mentioned some of these number one seeds, couple SEC teams at number one. As a prop bet, if I told you an SEC team to win it all or the field, who do you got?
An SEC team, and I'll get to that when we get to my picks.
Okay.
I would take an SEC team over the rest of the field.
Okay, so what is your Final
think that's
Four?
How much better they are this year.
What's your Final Four as we've got it set up right now?
I'm an all SEC Final Four.
Oh, holy jeez. Okay.
Yes. That's what I caught you off guard, didn't I? I have got Auburn beating Michigan State to go to the Final Four. I've got Florida beating St. John's, and I want to talk about St. John's here in a minute, to the Final Four. I've got Tennessee beating Gonzaga, so Tennessee's a 2 seed.
That's a good draw for Tennessee in that region, by the way. You know me. I'm Mr.
Agree,
Rocky Top.
100%.
That's a great draw for Tennessee.
I totally agree. And then I've got Bama beating Duke. So I've got 2 1 seeds and 2 2 seeds. And I've got Auburn beating Bama. I've got an all Alabama final game.
Okay, so Auburn v. Bama in the final game. Boy, taking that rivalry to the hardwood. All right, you mentioned you wanted to talk about St. John's. Let's get into St. John's. Let's get into Pitino here.
Yeah, so I haven't really watched them a whole lot this year, up until about the last 3 weeks, and then in the conference tournament. Man, they're good. I mean, obviously they're 30-4, but they don't. A lot of teams they rely on the 3-pointer, like our favorite team, 40 miles south of us in Bloomington. This team doesn't. They can win defense. They can win. They slash. They drive. They know how to actually, entry pass to the post. I mean, I'm not the biggest Pitino fan, but this team is coached well, and they are for real. And I actually thought they might get a 1 seed over, Auburn, because Auburn had lost 3 of their last 4 games. So I thought they could possibly sneak into a 1 seed. St. John's, they've got 4 losses by a total of 7 points. You've got one pointer to Baylor in double overtime, 1 point at Creighton, 2 points at Nova, and then 3 points to an SEC team, Georgia. I don't know if you've watched St. John's much, but man, they're good. They're good, Jason.
Okay, so now let's move on to point spreads and winning some bets in round 1, which again is totally different than just filling out your bracket. Which team do you think will win? Let me start with one that I think everybody is looking at, and then we'll get into the ones that you like the best. High Point as a 13, taking on Purdue as a 4. A lot of people are just talking about High Point. They love High Point. It's High Point this. It's High Point that. Purdue without Zach Edey. I get it. Am I an idiot because I think this experienced Purdue team with gym rat Indiana kids can handle High Point and cover?
Not at all. I think people get so focused on finding the quote unquote sexy, team that everybody's talking about. There's always 2 or 3 teams that everybody talks about, and High Point's the number 1 team that everybody's talking about this week. I looked them up. Their losses are to Longwood, UNC Asheville, Norfolk State, UNC Greensboro, and Missouri State. Purdue's losses are, to all quad 1 teams. So,
right.
No, you're not crazy at all. Purdue is not going to lose to High Point. If they play 100 times, Purdue's going to beat them 99. Anything can happen any given Sunday. But no, Purdue's not losing the High Point.
Okay, another one, and this was a team that I had circled before the brackets, but I just don't like the matchup they were given, was McNeese State. McNeese State can get up and down the court, they can score, and when you've got a team that's gone to the tournament back-to-back years, like you chalk up that first year of happy to be there, the second year they're ready to make noise, but I like this Clemson team that they're matched up against. I think Brad Brownell is a pretty good coach. I know we've talked about that in the text thread before.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that one?
It is a tough matchup for McNeese State, but there is a possibility they could win that game. But you're right, Brownwell's a great coach. He could be a candidate down at IU here in a few weeks. But I've got Clemson actually going to the Sweet 16 this year. I got them beating Purdue in the round of 32. So, yeah, it's a tough matchup for McNeese State. There's a few teams that have really tough matchups that are better seeded. Like Illinois has got to play Texas Xavier, and then if they win, they've got to play Kentucky.
Yeah, that's a hell of a tough stretch for Illinois right there. You're right.
Yeah. You have to look at a couple upsets, and, there's a few minor ones. I like Vandy to win against St. Mary's, just an SEC team. I need you to make a ruling. What constitutes an upset?
Somebody that Las Vegas says is the underdog. Now, it could be a pick 'em, it could be one or two, but for the sake of this show, somebody that's a Las Vegas underdog of 5 or more points.
Okay, so we're not talking about seeding at all then?
No, because there are 2 games, I think, in this first round where the lower seed is actually favored.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Colorado State's at 12. Yeah. Okay.
And I've crunched the numbers, Kenny. I've looked at what this means. Since the last 10 years, it's 50-50 on lower seeds as a favorite in March Madness. It's a 50% win ratio, so basically it's a coin toss.
Yeah, okay. Well, my favorite upset of the first round would be Utah State to beat UCLA. UCLA, sometimes they can have trouble putting the ball in the hoop. Utah State doesn't. They average 81 points a game. I like Mick Cronin. I think he's a good coach, but I think this is a bad spot for UCLA. I think Utah State, they're getting 6 points. I think they're going to win that game outright.
So before I let you go here, let's talk about the popular trend that was making its way around social media the last couple of years. First half unders in early tip-offs with the NCAA tournament. Last year, it really wasn't the case. Last year was kind of the first year where that trend didn't pay out. But the years before that, it was a cash cow. Now, my concern, Kenny, is that we've gotten into this NIL era where the best players are going to the best team because they're getting the most money. You kind of lose some of those one-year wonders that are on these small schools because if they were that good, they'd be getting paid bigger somewhere else. So what do we do with this popular trend of first half unders in early games?
That's really a great question because I've been texting all you guys for about 4 years now on this. So 2 years ago, there's 20 games in the first round that are 4 through 8 seed. 2 years ago, it went 17-3 on first half unders. Last year, like you said, I think it was like 11-9, maybe 12-8. It's almost like Vegas has caught on to this.
Right.
I think I'm going to fade that this year, and of course, each individual game is going to be its own entity. But I think overall, the overs are going to be solid this year on first halves. I'm with
you, especially this Purdue and High Point game. This isn't the Purdue team of years past where they grind you down defensively and they've got a 7-footer at the rim. Both of these teams want to score, and they've got a 1 p.m. tip-off on Thursday.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a high-scoring game. I really do like Purdue, though. I do have three, I guess, the spread picks for you that I was going to give out. The other sexy pick is UC San Diego against Michigan. I can't believe this line's 2.5. I'm floored by this line. Michigan's going to win that game. I mean, have you looked at that game yet very much?
Yeah, I looked into that, and it's style versus style, right? Michigan wants to slow you down, grind you, play that classic Big Ten game, which, let's be honest, though, Kenny, in years past has not really played well for the Big Ten in the tournament.
Right. Yeah, the Big Ten usually struggles in the tournament, but in this instance, to me, Michigan's one of the best plays of the 2 days on Thursday and Friday. That's going to be a definite VIP play. I also like Arkansas, Kansas to go over 145. A little neat thing is if Arkansas and St. John's win their first round game, you'll have a Calipari versus Pitino matchup.
Oh, man.
That'd be, yeah.
Can you imagine the restaurants in that area, the restaurants getting ready for those fan bases coming in? Plus, hell, you never know. With Pitino coming in, maybe the waitress gets plowed at the table. Who knows?
That's right. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the Kentucky fans say about that matchup too. So, and then my third against the spread is Vanderbilt getting. That was one of the upsets I like, getting +4. It's going to be a low-scoring, grinded-out game. That's how St. Mary's plays. 4 points is a lot of points in a game like that. Vandy, SEC team. I like Vandy +4 quite a bit as well.
All right, two more things before we let you go here, KB. Two more things here.
Yeah.
You bring up Pitino and Calipari, and it kind of reminds me of Lexington because they're hosting games this year. Now, Louisville is going to Lexington to play a very tough 8-9 matchup here. So, what do you think is going to happen? Louisville fans invade a Rupp Arena in Lexington and support their team against Creighton in an 8-9 game, or Kentucky fans pack that joint and give Creighton the biggest damn home court advantage in round one? Which do you think is going to happen?
I never looked at it like that, but I had a note here, and I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know if people noticed, but when Louisville got the 8 seed and the camera was on the team, they were like, "What?"
Yeah,
I mean, they should have been a 5 seed.
Right. No, they got a tough draw. Now, they get to play in Kentucky, but it's Lexington. So are Louisville fans going to show up, or the Blue Bloods, is BBN going to show up and give Creighton a home game?
Well, what time, if the game if Kentucky's game doesn't interfere with that, they may just do that. I don't. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Hey, I did want to talk about two teams real quick that have been massively disappointing this year. But they've got enough talent to win the whole damn tournament, and that's Kansas and UConn. I don't know what's happened to either team. I know Bill Self doesn't look like he wants to be there. He says the players don't like playing with each other. I mean, he's flat out said that.
Right.
But there's enough talent on that Kansas team to run the table. I mean, there really is. And the same with UConn. So that's two teams, to really watch out for. I haven't made a decision yet on the Kansas-Arkansas game, who I even like. In a normal year, Kansas would kill them, but I just don't know yet. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but Kansas, I mean...
I'm looking at the over in that one, Kenny. I'm looking at the over. That was my first thought on that game.
Yeah, that's like I said. That's my second favorite play of the first 2 days after Michigan is the over in that game. But anyway, keep an eye on Kansas and UConn. They've got the talent to knock down the SEC, but there really could be an all SEC Final Four. I couldn't wait to tell you that. You were speechless for about 10 seconds. So that was yeah.
And
So
one more thing, remind me who your national champion is.
Auburn. My dad told me back in October before the season started that Auburn's the best team, and I'm going to ride with that.
All right, that's Kenny Britt of KB Sports. If anybody wants to get your VIP plays heading into the tournament or sign up for your horse racing packages, where do they go?
Yep, I went 27-11 last week, 71% in the conference tournaments. You can find all that information on Facebook at KB Sports on Facebook. Horse racing is picking up a lot this coming weekend with Kentucky Derby prep races. So we got lots going on. March Madness, lots of stuff going on, man. Lots of stuff.
Kenny Britt, KB Sports. My man, we appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Jason. Thanks, Rob.
All right, that is one of our professional handicappers. We've got another one coming up next. David Stephanoff of FalloutNeverFade.com. I want to get his Final Four, his winner in the brackets, and also individual bets, upsets, point spreads. We'll do it all. David Stephanoff, Follow Never Fade, professional handicapper, coming up next. This is the March Madness special here. It is the madness, baby. March Madness. We got brackets, we got bets, we got spreads, we got totals. We got it all. My name is Jason Hammer, Rob Kendall right across from me, and let's bring on another one of our professional handicappers. He is the man behind FollowNeverFade.com. Professional handicapper David Stephanoff joins us. And David, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Kenny Britt, our other handicapper. If given the opportunity to make a bet between the SEC or the field in March Madness, who you got?
Thank you for having me, first of all, Hammer. Love it's March Madness is here. It's Christmas time for me. SEC versus the field. Thinking about it, looking at my Final Four I got wrote down right in front of me, I'll take the field all day long. I got 3 of my 4 are not SEC teams.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I like the SEC. Give me the other. Give me the field. Give me the field.
Okay, so let's get into your Final Four. Who do you have?
My Final Four I'm looking at is I like Florida, definitely. I like them coming out. I like Michigan upsetting sometime Auburn, some of them playing Auburn and upsetting Auburn. I think Auburn is vulnerable. They played pretty bad basketball at the end of the year, and when teams don't play good at the end of the year, usually they don't. Why would it change? It usually carries over. I like Michigan to come out of that bracket. I like Duke. I'm kind of chalky on the side. I like Duke and I like Houston. They're my Final Four: Florida, Michigan, Duke, and Houston.
Okay, who is your national champion?
My national champion is going to be the Florida Gators. That's who I'm looking at. I like the Florida Gators. I think they play Houston. I think Houston's a bad matchup for Duke, too physical. I just think after watching Florida's the only team in the country. If the SEC is that good, Florida's the only team that beat Auburn, they beat Alabama twice, and they beat Tennessee. That's pretty strong. I think they're the team to beat there. They're my pick.
If Cooper Flagg is healthy, does it make it Duke and Florida and everybody else, or are you concerned with the injury to Cooper Flagg at Duke?
I totally think he's healthy. I think he'll be fine. I mean, he probably won't play the first round. They already said that. And do they need him in the second round? Probably not. But coming back, they tried the same thing with Kyrie Irving last year. If you ever not last year, but years ago, Kyrie Irving, he was the best number 1 pick in the draft, and they tried to bring him back here in the tournament. That don't usually, you mess some chemistry up. I don't think he's Kyrie Irving. That was only like a 1-game thing. I think Cooper Flagg's a lot better. I think regardless, Cooper Flagg's gonna be healthy. They're gonna send him out to the ready. I think he's a generational talent. I don't think it matters. I think him at 90% is better than most kids. At most 18-year-olds just turned 18. So I like that.
Let me dive into some of these individual games in the first round.
Hammer.
So the 2 sexy upset picks, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. Everybody loves High Point, and everybody loves McNeese State and Drake. Those are the 3, right? Those are the 3 sexy underdogs. I love Purdue, to be honest with you. I think Purdue, having gone the distance last year, I know they don't have Zach Edey. I get that. He's a big deal. But they got gym rat Indiana kids. They're well coached. They got a great point guard. I think Purdue takes care of business against High Point. A lot of people love High Point. And then you've got McNeese against Clemson. What are some of your other upsets that you're looking at and your thoughts on those upsets?
Okay, with you, Hammer, I'm totally spot on. Hammer, first off, have you seen any of High Point? I'm sure you have not watched High Point play, Hammer. Have you at all?
I've bet on High Point this year. You're forgetting who you're talking to. I'm Mr. Degenerate Special, David.
Okay.
They score.
Yeah, High Point, let me tell you about High Point a little bit. They sell out every game in their conference. They sell out. That's the only thing they got there. It's a pretty rich school. Do I think they're going to beat Purdue? No. But did I take the 9.5 points last night? Yes. It's a bad matchup for Purdue, Hammer. High Point has about 6 Braden Smiths, if that's why I can put it to you.
Okay.
And they go about 8 or 9 deep. They're going to if if Purdue lets off at all, and Purdue has to shoot the ball because High Point is all gas, no brakes, and they're really, really deep. Now, are they as big as Purdue? No, but they have. But I don't. Will they cover the 10 points? I really believe they do. Do they beat Purdue? Not probably at the end of the game. It's going to be a closer game. But all of those other games that you mentioned, those upsets, Hammer, I got a gem for you guys right now. 11 seeds in the tournament, Hammer. Some of your 11 seeds this year are Drake, BCU, Xavier playing game. Some of these 11 seeds, last 37 of 39 tournaments, an 11 seed has made the Sweet 16. And if you go on FanDuel right now, you check some of these odds out. Some of these odds are huge that you can get some great odds on some of these 11 seeds making the Sweet 16. I'm going to say it again. 37 of the last 39 years, 11 seeds made the Sweet 16. High Point sitting at plus 1,200 to get to the Sweet 16. Drake, I'm going to go to Drake in a second. BCU sitting at plus 450. McNeese State sitting at plus 740. My favorite one of all, Drake plus 1,000 to get to the Sweet 16. If you like some of them upsets, you might want to look at to the Sweet 16 because if they upset one of them big name teams, they might go ahead and have an easier game in the second round. But there's some juicy prices on some of these teams to make the Sweet 16. High Point plus 1,200. I think High Point might, I don't think they're going to win the game, but I think they definitely can recover that 10 points. All the sharps jumped on it early and often.
Okay.
I like that. But I like Drake at plus 1,000. I think they'll beat Missouri outright. Missouri in the same boat as Auburn. They didn't play very good at the end of the year. Not good basketball. But I like Drake plus 1,000. I like Drake from the upset.
David Stephanoff of followneverfade.com joining us. He's a professional handicapper. So, David, let's talk about totals here. Again, last couple of years, everybody's fallen in love with first half unders. 2 years ago, it was a cash cow. It was an ATM. First half unders, especially in these early games that tip off between seeds 4 through 8. If you really want to get into the weeds, that's where the money was. Last year, it seems like things kind of went back to normal a little bit. Have odds makers caught on to the first half under trend?
Vegas has definitely adjusted to it. If during the conference season, I paid attention to it, and I was afraid to jump on it like last year because Vegas adjusted to it. And then in the conference this conference season tournament we've had recently, all the tournaments, it started out like the first 20 games. Like I'm not exaggerating, Hammer. 18 or 20 were first half unders. Now come here in the tournament, Vegas has adjusted these. They've had a whole week to prepare for some of these lines. But I will mention one thing about when it comes to first half unders. This is an old tool I've always used, and it's a handicapping. I've made a lot of money on it. I just made it last week in the Horizon League. Games that when you watch some of these games, if teams are waiting to play, if the game in front of them goes overtime, the following game, first half under hits it usually. I'm not exaggerating, Hammer. It's over 75%. If you look at it, it's a high number.
Right.
It's 79%. Games that go overtime, any game that goes overtime, if there's another game following it, the first half games go over. This happened last week in the Horizon game. I was there. Robert Morris in the semifinals. They played, off the top of my head, went overtime. Second game, Cleveland State playing whoever. It was like 18-12 at halftime. It's something to pay attention to. A little gem right there. But yeah, Vegas has adjusted to it. But like I said, it's like the Super Bowl. They've had 7 days to prepare for these lines. They're not dumb. They're ready. All the sharps have jumped on the lines early. It's time for the public to jump on them now and see what happens.
All right, so with that being said, what are your favorite plays in this first round?
I got 2 plays for you, Hammer. I love 2 plays. Let me go to my favorite play of it all. I got Michigan going to the Final Four. And I've watched Michigan play. Everybody's watched Michigan play, but not too many people watch UC San Diego play. Hammer, I'm a degenerate. I've watched too many UC San Diego games. It's a bad matchup for UC San Diego. The 2 big white guys for Michigan are going to eat these guys alive. That line, there's some dogs out there that are good, but some dogs have fleas, and that's one dog that has fleas is UC San Diego. Michigan runs them off the court. My favorite play of the week is going to be a VIP play. I'm going to give everybody right now. It's a 4-unit play. As you know, I'm a big fan of Robert Morris. Been to at least 10 games this year. My better half is a graduate from Robert Morris, so I know Robert Morris like the back of my hand. They play Auburn. They play Alabama. Out of all the teams in the tournament, that's the worst matchup for Robert Morris. Robert Morris is Alabama, but not as good. Lay the 22 points and bake the bet. Woo! And at halftime, lay the 22 at halftime, you'll be in line to cash your ticket. Robert Morris will put up 70, but Alabama will put up 100. I promise you this. That's the strongest play of the week, and I promise you, my 4-unit play, I'm giving it to everybody free. Alabama, lay the 22 over Robert Morris. Them are my 2 plays right there for you, Hammer.
All right, so one more time before we let you go. Who do you have cutting down the nets as your national champion?
Florida, Houston, final game, Florida Gators.
As the Tennessee Vol fan, that makes my skin crawl, but deep down inside, I know you're right. They may be the best team in this field, and it might not even be close. All right.
They beat Alabama. They beat Auburn. They beat nobody in the country done that. And
yeah.
They did it all
beat
over.
Tennessee twice. Yeah, on a neutral court
yes,
and earlier in the year. You're right.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Hey, I love this time of year. If somebody wants to jump on board and get your VIP package for college basketball, this is like your Christmas. This is how you earn a living. Where can they go?
Hey, message me directly on all platforms. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. If you message me directly, somebody will reply to you almost immediately. I got people who work for me. If I'm not online, people will message me. You will be notified. I got a March Madness package going right now. It's $200. You get all my college basketball picks from now to the end of the season. It's NIT. That's all the degenerate plays. We get everything.
Hell yeah, NIT money spends the same as the NCAA tournament, baby.
Starts tomorrow night. And with that, you get baseball. You get NBA basketball to the end of the season, both basketballs. And with that, when you sign up, I give you baseball for my first month. And I'm not BSing nobody right now. I'm not BSing nobody. Right now in college baseball, we're 62-32. I've not made one Major League Baseball bet. Just all college baseball. We're 62-32. You get baseball free when you sign up for a March Madness package. Message directly. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. I hope good luck to everybody this March Madness. Thank you, Hammer. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kenny, Britt. Good luck to everybody out there. Message me directly. Sign up. Have a great March Madness, but don't forget to follow Never Fade.
All right, David Stephanoff, follow neverfade.com. We got one more segment to go. This is the March Madness Spectacular. Picking our Final Four, picking our national champions, and also picking games against the spread. Do not go anywhere. One more segment to go. We are the Degenerates Next Door. All right, let's get down to brass tacks here. These are my bets for the first round of the NCAA Tournament. I'm Jason Hammer, Rob Kendall right across from me. We are the Degenerates Next Door. We've given you help on your bracket. We told you our Final Four. Our professional handicappers told you their bets, their Final Four. This is just about point spread betting day number 1 and technically day number 2. Here we go. Number 8 seed Louisville taking on number 9 Creighton in Kentucky. First game of this tournament. And as we talked about with our handicappers earlier, Rob, I'm going to be very curious to see what happens here. Either the Louisville fans will travel hard to Lexington to cheer on their team, or the Kentucky fans, BBN, the Big Blue Nation, will buy up all the tickets and give Creighton the biggest home court advantage of anybody in this tournament. And if you think I'm joking, that's like something that is being worked on online by Kentucky fans right now. This is why college sports are awesome. But the fact of the matter is, Louisville is a better team than Creighton. Louisville should have been a higher seed, even if they're playing in front of hostile Kentucky fans who have bought the tickets. I'm going to lay 2.5. Give me Louisville minus 2.5. They average 79.5 points. They're guard heavy. Guards win tournament games. They've got the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, and they got seniors. Good guard play, seniors, defense. I like Louisville. We're going to lay 2.5. The second game of the tournament, it's a team that I recently took an L on, but I'm back for more. I'm a glutton for punishment with the Purdue Boilermakers, Rob. You made a case earlier, though. You made the case for me, so you can't laugh at me. Everybody is drinking the High Point Kool-Aid. High Point. Matt Painter and Purdue still have some dudes. Zach Edey is not running out of that tunnel, but multiple Indiana Mr. Basketballs, the Big Ten Player of the Year, and this line keeps going down. Maybe if you wait a little bit, you can get this a little bit lower, but I'm going to take Purdue laying 7.5 And yes, I am ready to take that chance with Matt Painter and the Boilers again. That's right, Matt Painter. I'm tired of hearing all this high point bull crap. Number 2, Tennessee, a team that I've got cutting down the nets in my bracket, taking on Wofford, the number 15 Wofford, 6:50 p.m. on Thursday. Wofford, not a particularly strong 15 seed. They played one game this year against a top 100 Ken Palm team. They played Duke, Rob. They lost by 50, 86-35.
Jeez.
The line is 18.5. Tennessee beats the dog piss out of Wofford, lay the 18.5. Number 14 seed Lipscomb taking on number 3 Iowa State. Rob, you've got Iowa State in your Final Four, correct?
That's right.
I don't know if they win or lose in round 1, but 14.5 is a lot of points. You've got Gilbert, who's out for Iowa State. Lipscomb's got a lot of shooters, which is what you want if you're trying to pull off an upset as a big underdog. If Lipscomb can knock down some of their threes, and they're going to shoot a ton of them, I think we got a ball game, and I want the points. Iowa State, better players, probably still wins even with the injuries, but I want Lipscomb getting 14.5. Another game on Friday, 4:35. Number 4, Maryland taking on Bryce Drew and Grand Canyon, number 13. Grand Canyon was the darling of the tournament a year ago, and I do love some Bryce Drew, but this is not as good of a Grand Canyon team as it was a year ago. They lost some dudes in graduation, and Maryland went through a Big Ten meat grinder. Give me Maryland. I'm going to lay 10.5 against Grand Canyon here. Again, the Antelopes didn't win the WAC regular season title. Their efficiency stats mostly down this year, and Maryland's got a dude in the middle, Derek Queen. Pretty good Big Ten squad. I'll lay 10.5 with Maryland. The number 5 versus number 12 game. Everybody loves a 12-5 upset, right? Oregon, the 5, taking on Liberty. Liberty. Liberty, I want the 7 points. I want Liberty plus 7. Dating back to 1996, number 12 seeds have a 61, 48-2 against the spread record. I'll take that. However, it's been a little bit more competitive lately with the 12 seeds going 15-13 since 2017 against the spread, but that's still a 53.5 cover rate. I'll take it. Liberty was second in college basketball in efficiency from the field. They are 5th in three-point percentage, according to Ken Palm. They were 28-6. They won the Conference USA regular season tourney and the regular season title and the conference tourney. Liberty can play. Liberty can play. Again, 7 is too many points. I want Liberty. Give me Liberty or give me death. All right, Rob, those are our picks. We had a good time, and now we sit back and we just let the madness unfold.
I'm going to win this bracket this year. I'm going to win the bracket against you, and I'm going to be like, see, you had no faith in me, see.
I think the loser, and I'm just throwing this out there, the loser has to make a donation of a political candidate of the other one's choosing.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And we can write something funny on the
Or if you want, we can do the standard, okay, you've got to go to a bar when it opens. You have to stay till it closes. We take off 1 hour for every shot. We take off 30 minutes for a beer.
No, I'm not that confident in my bracket.
Okay. Johnny Tough Guy over there starting to get a little wishy-washy. All right, we'll figure something out, and we'll talk about it next Tuesday. This is the one show this week. We're going to let it ride, enjoy the madness, and we will talk to you on Tuesday. We are the Degenerates Next Door.